How's it going, guys? Matt Davis here, founder and owner of Final Rise. Appreciate you watching this video and considering our products. In the video, we're just going to cover a couple simple things on how to properly fit your vest so you can get the most comfort and performance in the field. I've already gone ahead and pre-adjusted this vest to me so that we can keep the video short. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it fits properly, and you're going to be able to mimic and do the same on your end. So throwing this vest on, the very first thing that I want to do is set the waist belt. I've got my hips in my waist and my belly button's right about here, and that's gonna sit right about here on me. A good, I guess, anchor, a physical anchor, is also the lumbar pad. You can feel that on the back of the waist belt. That basically sits right on the top of my bum crack. The whole design principle behind a lumbar pad is to fill in that small void that sits above your back, or excuse me, in your back, and it gives additional contact as the waist belt comes around, so there's really no gap between the game bag and your body. It gives additional surface contact to hold that in place, which eliminates the pressure on the shoulder harness. So now that I've got that fit, I'm gonna kind of walk this down and get it in a good spot, or at least where it's got a little bit of loose. I'm not gonna buckle anything else up. But if I turn around here, you can see that the split in the harness is pretty high on my back. And ideally, I want that as high as possible without the shoulder harness rubbing on my neck. And the reason we want that as high as possible is because when you actually put weight into the vest, it is going to pull back on a little bit. So if you look at this, it just basically rocks it back. I'm not feeling that pressure, but the vest's empty. There's nothing in it. And so oftentimes we even suggest that you take some of your stuff, you load it down to be able to properly balance and fit it. It's good to load the vest up and have a little bit of weight in it. And it may take a hunt or two. You may go on a hunt, come back to your truck and want to adjust it, and that's totally fine, or you can adjust it in the field. It's very, very simple to do. So to adjust that yoke, simple concept. This is a continuous piece of 1-inch webbing that is fed from the mesh side of your game bag. On that is the G-hook to be able to open the bag up if you need to load a dog or you need to be able to clean it out. That piece of webbing comes through, connects to the shoulder harness, and then is fed through this slip lock. And so to adjust this, very simple. All I would do is I would feed the tag end. If I needed to increase the distance for being taller, I would feed this piece of webbing up through the loop slide. And when I'm adjusting it, before I would pull this through to make it taut against the top of the slip lock, I would do it on the other side as well. So now I'm gonna make 2 loops that basically look about the same. I'm just gonna eyeball that. And the reason you wanna do that is because you do not want your vest to be sitting on you ski-wampus. You want it to be even and symmetrical so that the weight distribution is even. Once that is set, that's really the meat and potatoes of that primary adjustment. Very, very simple to do. Now you know that your waist belt's in the right place and you know that your yoke is in the right place. So if I flip this around, put it back on, I'm just gonna double check everything, buckle up my waist belt, cinch that forward. All I do is I barely snug these down. Even when I'm hunting and have weight in there, there is little to no pressure on the shoulder harness. I mean, I can constantly feed my hand behind it, and again, very minimal. So from here, if I want to fine tune the sternum adjustment, I have about 2 inches here. So I prefer to have this hardware sitting as low as possible on my chest. I want to be able to keep this shoulder pocket very nice and clean and open so that I can mount a gun and not be bumping into hardware or anything like that that could potentially skew or knock my gun off. Additional things to look for in the fitment, you want to make sure that these shell pouches are essentially on the side of your legs, depending on where you fall in the waist belt size. They may sit a little more forward or they may be a little bit further back, but conceptually they're going to be right on the sides of your legs. That's going to keep them off. So if you're hiking or you're climbing over a deadfall, you're climbing over a fence, whatever that might be, you're not going to have anything bouncing or impeding your natural movement. You can see here as well, the water bottles are behind my elbows. You can adjust where these sit elevation wise. There's 2 rows of MOLLE webbing, so you could remove it and attach it lower if you wanted to do that as well. Some people really swing their arms and get after it when they walk. I'm pretty minimal, and so they're usually fine for me where they're at. So from here, you are basically ready to rock and roll. Again, all I would say is that I would recommend, once you do an initial fitting, throw some of your gear in there, make sure that you figure out how to balance the vest. It is important to have even amount of weight on both sides of the vest and as much weight in the front as you're going to put in the back if you can. That's just going to help that vest sit more symmetrical and ride more comfortably. So that is the short and sweet, well, maybe not so short, but to the point and detailed way of being able to properly fit and adjust your vest so you can get out in the field and enjoy it. Thanks for watching.